John Lavatos, thanks again for tuning in to yet another video. I'm Famous coming at you live from the West Coast yet again, San Jose, California. We are looking at the two $15,000 bikes here from Harley-Davidson. Maybe you're looking at buying a Harley and you have a budget of $15,000 and you're wondering, hey, what's the difference between the Sportster S and of course the Street Bob? They're both priced at $15,000. They're both Harleys. They both have two wheels. They both have V-twins. What's the difference? And let me tell you, there's a huge difference between both of these bikes. One's more old school, looks like it. It has an old school look to it. It has an old school sound to it, and it's got that old school feel to it. So that's the Street Bob. So let's just start out with the one I would pick, because I lean more towards a classic, a little bit more traditional, more iconic feel. What a Harley really is. So air-cooled V-twin. Like I said, a lot of aftermarket support for this. These have been around for since 2018. 2018 was the Milwaukee. 2017 was the touring models with the Milwaukee 8. The overall frame, it's brand new, but a lot of the components on these air-cooled V-twins, they're pretty much the same as far as the aftermarket support. Where you can mount on these, you can mount a Memphis shade. Road Warrior fairing on these bikes, kind of like you can with all of the Dyna and the Sportsters. You just have to make sure you have the proper aftermarket part, because the rake's a little bit different from this one and the Dyna. So let's just keep it with this aftermarket support a bunch. You could buy stuff on Amazon for these bikes. So I have a whole Amazon build on the channel if you guys want to check that out. But you can buy a lot of different components for these bikes, a lot of aftermarket support, like I said. And you have a low seat height. Like I said, it's a traditional, more of a classic, of course, air-cooled pushrod V-twin. So it's going to have that, that sound to it. It's going to have that rumble, that potato, sound, whatever you want to call it. But overall, great looking bike. Like I said, traditional. Man, I'm a big fan of this bike. You have the mid controls, slightly forward mids. You have a 26-inch seat height on this, and then you have the mini apes. This bike looks gorgeous. It's a beautiful bike, especially this red one. Man, you know what? It's got a 114. It weighs, under 700 pounds, a little bit over 600 pounds. So, it's a little bit heavy, but the suspension's not that great. But you know what? The bike looks great. It looks amazing. So let's go ahead and move on to the Sportster S. And you're probably wondering, man, this one's also $15,000. What's the difference? So this one's a little bit more tunish. That's what I've been calling it. You have those stupid oversized exhaust, tiny tires, and then you have the wide, massive tires on the front and on the rear. So, like I said, this is just a little bit tunish. If you guys saw the event, they were talking about how they cranked the design meter on the knob, and they cranked it up to 11, and they did that. I'm not a huge fan of it, but yeah, you could obviously see that this is it doesn't look anything like a traditional Harley. A lot of people were calling this more of a 48 style, maybe a V-rod. But I would agree this looks a little bit more like the 48, mainly because of the fat front tire. But anyways, so this one, I believe it has a 28-inch seat height, sits a lot higher. You have forward controls on this, and you have more of a drag bar on this bike. So, and of course you only have a single seat on this. So yeah, don't expect taking anybody with you along if you have this bike. Small tank, just kind of like the Street Bob. So there's some similarities, but this is more modern. All right, this is the new engine from Harley-Davidson. This weighs in at 500 pounds, so it's even lighter than the Street Bob. This is liquid cooled V-twin. This is the new Revolution Max with the new frame. This bike handles great. I really enjoyed it. That front end feels amazing as well. You have inverted forks. You have that big wide fat tire, so it soaks in a lot of the imperfections of the road. I'm a huge fan of the way this felt. It's just I couldn't really hear it because it had stock pipes when I test rode it. But the overall look of this, I'm not a fan. All right, I'm not a fan at all. This one, they had to keep on. I was at the demo event. They had to keep on filling the tank on this one. Even when it came to my turn test riding, I rode this thing on E, so the gas light was on. And I brought it back. I didn't mention anything to anything, so who knows if it got filled up. I believe, if I remember right, somebody did end up, stranded during the test ride. I believe this was a little bit towards later of the day. Somebody got on the Pan America and went to go put gas on this thing because they were left stranded, during the demo ride. And that was probably after I test rode it. Like I said, I didn't mention it to anybody. It's whatever, because I got it with the gas light on. I didn't know if I was going to be the one stranded with this thing. So, it is what it is. All right, so smaller tank, just kind of like with the Street Bob, of course, but you have overhead cams on this, dual overhead cams. So that's the main difference, the big difference on this. Liquid cooled. You can see the huge radiator right here in the front. I think they could have blended this a little bit more. I think they should have, kind of like with the V-Rod, kind of like blended in with the overall design. I believe they could have done that, but hey, yeah. And this is hideous as well. The left side of the Revolution Max. This is by far the ugliest liquid cooled V-twin there is in the market. Indian makes a beautiful liquid cooled V-twin, absolutely gorgeous on both sides, but man, you can really see the inner workings of this thing, and it's just hideous. Anyways, it is what it is. All right, so this is just strictly performance. Aftermarket support is not quite there. I'm pretty sure they're going to get to it eventually, but I mean, the overall triangle of this thing, it's just not going to sit right, I believe. It's going to be a little funny. So, well, who knows? I mean, we have the Nightster that's out. That's a little bit more traditional. It looks a little bit more like a Sportster, and I believe you will be able to put a lot of the aftermarket components, kind of like your risers and stuff like that. You should be able to put it on the Nightster. This one, I just don't know if it's going to look as good as a Street Bob, kind of like this with the aftermarket parts. But anyways, man, enough rambling. Let's go ahead and compare both of these great bikes with what Harley believes are key specs, key details, key differences amongst these two bikes. Like I said, they're both $15,000, but Street Bob, you're looking more of a traditional feel, more of that iconic feel of a classic Harley-Davidson, and of course with the Sportster S, that's more of a modern feel. I would say it's more in between, your naked bike slash Street Fighter slash I guess Sportster a little bit, because they did call it a Sportster, but it's far away, far beyond from a Sportster, or especially the Sportster S does not look like anything that I'm used to. So let's go ahead and anyways, let's go ahead and look at the rider position. Harley's saying stretched on the Street Bob, and that's not true. Stretched on the Sportster S, I could see that, yeah, because you have the forward controls. You also have the drag bars on this, so you are a little bit over the tank. On the Street Bob, I would say it's more of an upright feel. If you're maybe 5'3", maybe 5'2", I guess you could feel stretched on the Street Bob. But as 5'7", myself, I did not feel stretched on the Street Bob. Of course, you have mid mounts on the Street Bob, and you have the mini apes, so you're more of a upright, riding position on the Street Bob. So Sportster S, yeah, I guess because of the the forward controls. So moving on down to foot controls, of course, like I already mentioned, forward on the Sportster S, mid mounts on the Street Bob. Let's go ahead and look at the Sportster S. For some reason, they're claiming that the Sportster S seat height is low. I don't think that's the case, because the rear fender on the Street Bob, it's a bit different, as you guys can see. So the seat sits up higher. So let's just go ahead and scroll on down here, and let's see if we could find the seat height on this one. Did I miss it? Right here. See, it's 28, almost 29 inches. That's almost 29 inches. So I don't understand why this is low compared to the Street Bob. That's pretty high. My Roadster, that my seat height is actually at 30 inches. So I guess maybe compared to the Roadster, but this is a Street Bob. So Street Bob wins this on the height of the seat. Maybe it's the clearance. Here, let's just look at it real quick. Let's see if we can find the ground clearance. Ground clearance is at 3.5 on the Street Bob. On the Sportster S. Let's go ahead and look at the ground clearance on. No, the ground clearance on the Street Bob is actually higher. Ground clearance is 5 inches. Ground clearance is only 3.5. Yeah, I don't know. Height, it's it's not low at all right, so and that's it. That's been debunked. So RDRS standard, wow, I believe they changed that for 2022. I don't remember them having RDRS on the 2021s. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, so you have RDRS standard. I believe you also have ABS standard on the Sportster S. I believe, yeah, I think, I'm not too sure because they recently just made these changes. They haven't announced anything, so let's go ahead and look at, it doesn't say, so I'm guessing it does have ABS. Well, yeah, if you have ABS included, traction control, that's pretty much RDRS. Yeah, you have everything RDRS standard. You also have ABS standard on the Sportster S, so maybe that's something you're looking into, a little bit more rider assist. You have everything, all the technology. You have the dual overhead cams. You have the liquid cooled. You have, the riding modes on the Sportster S. There's a lot of technology. There's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of positives with the Sportster S. It's just the only drawback. It's just how ugly it is. But anyways, moving on down, passenger seat on the Sportster S. Of course, you don't have any. You do have a passenger pillion on the Street Bob, but you know what? That's not anything you would probably want. I mean, if you love your wife or anything like that, you probably don't want to put her on that for too long. But I mean, if your wife's nagging at you all week, then the weekend comes around, hey, tell her to jump on that seat. It's just to kind of get her back. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. If you're looking at both of these bikes, where would I lean towards? Of course, I would lean towards the Street Bob. I think you probably have better options as far as more of a modern street fighter look or street fighter design. I think you have better options as far as metric bikes, Yamaha, Honda. There's other options out there. I don't want to start rambling, of course, but I think for the price, and then looking at what Indian has done with the Scout, I also test rode that multiple times. I enjoyed the Scout, and just overall performance, bang for your buck. And this engine is still brand new. It still have a lot of issues. Have you guys seen even the Milwaukee 8? We're starting to see a little bit more issues with the with the rockers, the lifters. We're talking about the oil, the pump, the sumping. Man, there's some problems going on. And then for some reason, some of the 2022s are having some issues as well. I'll leave that for another video, but I think Harley's dropping the ball with their quality control. I think that's what it is. If you guys see my videos, I'm still having issues with my discs, with my rotors on my Lowrider S, and there's just the requirements and their standards are they're dropping just so they could turn more of a profit, so they keep on selling bikes. But anyways, you know what? It is what it is. You guys just stay out there, stay safe. Leave your comments down below. Which would you lean towards, this $15,000 bike, Street Bob, or would you lean a little bit more towards this performance, feel, suspension, technology? You have a touch display on this thing. I mean, there's a lot of nice things here, but or if you guys want to leave your own recommendation, you guys could recommend a bike. I'm thinking the Scout. I'm thinking the Rebel. I'm thinking that's it. You guys stay out there, stay safe. Don't believe everything you read. Life's a risk. Get out there and ride. Later.